Hello, everybody, and welcome to the April round. What is this? The April live show
mission.
What we are doing here today? It's the live show for the Avengers Initiative Reading Challenge. We have lots to talk about today. We watched 2 movies this month. Most of us did. We had some boss battles, and we read a book that I don't have with me, so hopefully somebody else does.
I don't have the actual cover, but it's here.
Okay.
I have it on my phone.
There we go. I'm like, I am not prepared for this today. Sorry.
On my phone with its beautiful background.
Yeah,
I love beautiful. I love
I
it.
feel like you're gonna have to fight the black women for that.
The what?
Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. Oh, I should probably.
All right, so
We all watched 2 movies. I'm pretty sure.
we did. Well, I mean, like there were 2 watch-alongs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all watched 2 movies over the course of the month.
I did.
So
I did as
most
well. Actually, no, I didn't because one of them I watched this morning.
Oh, there you go.
I watched
No.
it yesterday.
I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it since it came out in theaters, and I'm not about to start.
I think this one might actually be my favorite of the 3.
I was gonna say we will talk about that. And the fact that, like,
Yeah.
it's not. It's the best of the 3, but like the bar is on the floor.
Yes, true.
That's fair.
It's very true.
Hello. Okay. So because this is the first one on my channel, I'm gonna have you guys all introduce yourselves quickly,
Awesome.
and then we'll get started. Most of you guys probably pretty much know everyone, but just in case, we might have some stragglers. So Margaret.
Oh, yes. Hi, my name is Margaret. I am the word nerd, and I am currently very jealous of Bree's eyebrows because she has them.
They do look great.
They look
Oh,
fantastic. Mine are so light, I can't, like, if you do anything that's, like, even slightly dark on mine, it's
Yeah.
like, boom. But then the lightest colors are always too light for mine. So I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
there's no
Yeah,
happy
this-
medium. Anyways, hi, I'm Margaret. You can find me at the word nerd. I am here. I read books, and I'm a hot mess. That's how I'm introducing myself now. I'm a hot mess that reads books.
I love it. You should add that as like your tagline on your intro.
Yeah. I also might go turn the air down because no one is here to stop me.
Do it. All right, Christine.
You do you.
I'm Christine. I'm from the other Christine that reads. I talk about books and dogs and video games and lots of Sam and Bucky. And yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Michelle.
Hey, honey, watch day. My name is Michelle from Thor Wants Another Letter, and I also like to read, but I also like crafting and other things, and I don't know. I obsess.
Very nice.
Good times.
And Bree.
Hi, I'm Bree, or maybe I should say, hey there, it's Bree Bear. That makes more sense. But hey, I have a cold, so ignore me. I just it's getting better, but like I sound beautiful, I'm sure. But we're gonna go with it. So yeah, I read books, as you might guess, based on the situation of what we're doing, but
On the current environment.
Yeah, I talk about books and other things, and
I mean,
Yeah.
you never know.
I don't really
There
have
was
much
a-
else to-
Yeah.
Also, Bree, our nails match.
Aw, twinsies.
I painted mine last night and then realized I need to take a thumbnail for a video today. And I was like, oh, it'll be really easy. I can just throw on the same shirt. I can do the same makeup. That's what I usually
The
do.
nails.
And the nails.
So, like,
Mine have dirt
Bad
under
day.
them from the hike I went on with dogs.
90% of my thumbnails like I'm not even wearing the same shirt as the one that I'm wearing in the video, and nobody notices. So
Yeah,
Clear
I
as
never
you
bother.
forget to take a thumbnail, and then while I'm editing, I'm like, oh crap. So, anyways,
I just have like a
Look at my
stock
rashes,
of
I wouldn't
thumbnail
care.
options. So like if I forget to take one, I just pull from those.
Same.
Yeah. as long as it's like they're not like the shirts are not the same in like 2 videos back to back, then like I don't care.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So,
Nobody's
anyway,
gonna
I am gonna try to keep on topic today because I know that we like ramble, and I have an appointment this afternoon, so I do have to move things along. So
Doyle's going swimming.
Doyle's going swimming today, and I'm so excited.
I better get every picture.
And video.
Yes.
I'm just gonna FaceTime you.
Perfect. Perfect. Then we can arrange a date for him and Briar when she comes to Utah.
Yes.
To
Okay.
swim.
So, look, I made banners so that we know what we're talking about. So we're just gonna go in chronological order.
All right, I need a tutorial when we're next time we meet up.
Can your next video be a StreamYard webinar? Like,
Yeah, like wait, how are we doing this?
Jessica Williamson has a video up on about StreamYard.
oh,
Just
perfect.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
I'm gonna go bookmark it now.
Little plug there. But anyway, we're gonna do this in chronological order, and then we'll finish with the book. That way, if anybody isn't done with it, then they can jump off, but they still get to see the reward for the most current boss battle, and they get the rest. They get to see the rest of it. So let's talk about Avengers, because that was the very first group movie. It's one of the ones that like originally, I think that was like maybe the first time that like I got into the MCU in general. I don't think I had watched it. Not in theaters. I don't think I had watched any of the other movies prior. So it's a little bit nostalgic, and I love it.
Definitely have seen all of this, just about all of the superhero. Like I haven't think Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are the only ones I haven't seen in theaters. But I also am a huge nerd, so you knew I was at the midnight showing for like half of these,
Right?
Or at least the ones that happened before college and before before my friends had kids. And then we were all like, "We're too old for this."
Back when midnight showings were still a thing.
Like, yeah, I remember working because I used to work at Chick-fil-A, for those that don't know, and I remember being at a shift and like half of the people on morning shift, both in the front and in the back, we'd all been at like, was it the Transformers? One of the midnight movie, like gone to the movies at midnight to watch one of like the Marvel or one of the other big franchise movies. And it was really funny because we're all sitting there going, all right, we got to keep it together. The boss is in. And if he finds out, like, he can't know that we were up until midnight, he'll give us lectures, or up until 3 a.m.
Yeah. I think that so I used to work at Starbucks after college, and my friend and I went to, it was either a midnight showing or it was like a super late showing. So we were out really late, and then we were both working on the bar the next morning. And anytime we would get slow, we would be like, espresso shot, espresso shot. We'd and it just, just to stay awake because you'd have to work at like 6 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah. That was the shift I worked. I was the 5 to 2 shift.
Yeah, that's a painful shift.
Oh, honestly, the weird part is it was easier for me to get up for a 5 a.m. shift than a 6 a.m. shift because of how my sleep cycle goes. Real weird.
Weird. Interesting.
Anyways.
So, what did we think? Because I don't have
I
any,
liked it.
I enjoy it. I think the movies where they have all of them together are probably my favorites because you have so many different people playing off of each other.
Oh, absolutely.
So what I really liked about it,
Thor, Captain America, like Iron Man dynamic there. Like, and I'm so glad that they'll continue that on in Ultron, but like,
I wanted to hit both of them actually in one of those scenes. As much as I freaking love Steve, I'm like,
sorry,
you are
who
106
is
years
Captain
old.
America?
What?
Who? I don't know who that is.
Christine, we're going back in time. No spoiler.
No, but I just don't know who you're. We haven't even met Captain America in the movies yet.
Christine, I love you so much.
I just don't remember. I just like don't remember him in that movie.
Christine, if you can't do this, we're not going to be able to have a productive conversation about this movie.
Because, well, I wanted to talk about Black Widow.
Go.
Is what I want to talk about.
Do it.
She's hot as fuck.
Let's
Okay,
talk.
so in Iron Man 2, Black Widow is very like, I mean, Black Widow as a character is always kind of sexualized just because of like the nature of how she is in the comics, in the old comics. But I really like how much her character, like they actually gave her like a for real plot and like character arc and like just like she's like a serious character in this movie compared to just like sexy robotic in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
And I think just like her outsmarting Loki and like her being like genuinely traumatized, hiding from the Hulk, like you get to see every range of Black Widow in this movie. And I think that's something that maybe I always loved Black Widow. Definitely one of the reasons I realized I was bi. But like, I think watching it back after so many years, I was like, oh, this is her movie. Like she's so good in this film. So
yeah, no, she was in Iron Man 2. She was definitely like just kind of looked over, and I don't know if it was just poor writing or they just thought maybe she wasn't going to be a big character. But yes, Avengers was definitely like.
I think part of it was because they were trying to hide the fact that she was Black Widow for so much of the movie. So like they couldn't really give her Natasha's personality.
They still have this actor who has so much range. Like Scarlett Johansson is very talented, and they really gave her very little dialogue, very little expression, like very little to do other than like look good and like beat people up, which is great. Don't get me wrong, I like to see it. But I think in Avengers you get to see a real range of emotion. And like just they did a lot with her character compared to some of the male characters have like maybe more screen time but less substance, I think.
And I also love how we get to see various parts of her job. Like such a wide range of her job.
Yeah, because Iron Man 2, it was just like, hey, look like a typical Russian spy.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Boring.
And in this one, you know, like when it starts off with her like doing that interrogation scene and being like, I'm working here, they're telling me everything. I just iconic moment.
I love that scene so much.
I almost wish that was how she was introduced to the franchise. Like I almost wish that she did an Iron Man 2 so that the first thing you ever could have got from her would have been that. But
that would have been really good.
Yeah. But I watched Iron Man 2 so infrequently that it doesn't matter.
It's fair. That's fair.
It's the weakest of the Iron Man movies, I feel. So
100%. 100%. There's other than the fact that like it starts to tie in the other Avengers and kind of make it this big universe, that movie is pointless.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything to develop Iron Man's story in any way.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it was just meant to introduce like Nick and the other characters there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Iron Man's story is the same every single freaking movie, so.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, exactly.
It really is.
Businessman.
Jessica did it right, as this was my first movie. It was how she was introduced to me, and I loved it.
It's like the perfect for all. I think all of their introductory scenes for all the characters. I think hers is the most like her, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
What else is it? So one thing, and we'll see more of this later in movies, but this is the beginning of me being frustrated that people blame the Avengers for all of the property damage that keeps happening. I'm just like, do you want to just would you rather we just let the aliens destroy New York? Would you prefer
the city you were going to nuke anyways?
Yeah, like
I know.
Why are you mad? The city was going to be leveled.
But like, I guess without spoiling it, that's why I kind of don't like Civil War, because I'm like,
this is pointless.
What basis do you have to be so passionate about this?
Like I will give superhero movies this. They definitely do a lot more with the explosions and the property damage and all of that you see in the comics. because you are constantly seeing the heroes be conscious of where they are in the comics when they have their kind of confrontations.
Yeah.
But still, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but they saved New York City. Would you rather we just let the aliens level it?
I'm not
But,
gonna
like,
lie.
You think about it, like if this was
threads were
reality,
hilarious this week.
you know that like Fox News would be all over the property damage.
They would. And they'd only blame like the Hulk, Thor, and Black Widow.
I know, I was gonna
It'd
say,
be like,
they would be in Captain America and Iron Man's corner. It's Fox
Or who?
News.
who wasn't in this movie?
Christine,
Margaret.
stop.
Christine, stop. Please. Anyways, like, there's a man basically with an American flag on his uniform.
No, I know, yeah.
Fox News would have been sucking his dick.
It'd be like, big green man and Russian immigrant destroy New York.
And he would hate it
Exactly.
so much. Yeah.
So
It's
I mean,
true.
it is an issue that like I don't know, like I almost wish that they would have like talked about it a little bit, just like I guess they did in Civil War, but like
See,
I don't know.
my headcanon was Mr. Billionaire Tony Stark would just go and be like, okay, I will pay for all of the people. Like, you have the money, sir. Just pay for all the property damage that happens to like individual people.
That's where
insurance, let them take that shit. Whatever.
That's
But,
where,
like,
and don't bring this up ever again. That I ever said this, but that's where Batman versus Superman does it better. Does a better job.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
we're gonna get into this in Iron Man 3, but that is why that's because Bruce is not focused on himself. Bruce is always focused on the other people. Like he is a non-entity in all anything, like to the point that it is bad for him. Like he doesn't think
like
it's own safety first.
Tony feels guilty about being destructive, so he like blames it on that Steve Rogers fellow. He blames it on him. But like it's like all like self-centered, I feel. So I never really believed that anyone actually did care about the property damage, except that one, like except Zemo maybe. But like, yeah, I feel like Batman versus Superman actually looks at that better. And yeah, I might be the only person in the world that likes that movie, but yeah.
Wait, only person in the world that likes Batman versus Superman?
Yeah, people hate it. People hate it.
Christine, who are you talking to?
I don't know, man. Even Batman fans hate it, and I'm like, I don't like it.
Okay, when this is over, Christine, we will talk about why I like it, but this is not the show.
Cool, because I like it too.
It has its flaws.
The main flaw being the scene where Gal Gadot falls and like spreads her legs and is like, oh no. I'm like, are you kidding me? But
anyways, back to property damage. I am trying not to let us get sidetracked by my obsessions.
So one thing I think with the Avengers is, and I know like we hate on Iron Man and the entire MCU story. No one here likes him. I'm sorry.
I like him.
I like him, but I also want to punch him in the face.
Who?
Yes.
Tony.
Oh, you know what? That's funny that you say that, because I'm obviously like a decently vocal Tony auntie a lot of the times, but I do like him by like now. I don't like him in Avengers. I do like him now.
Well, oh yeah, but definitely. But like, I don't like him in his solo movies because I think he's an ass. But in the group movies, like this one, The Avengers, is where you first see him being like, all right, I'm going to take this. I'm going to like sacrifice. Like he didn't think he was going to come back through the He thought he was going to die. And he was okay with that. And I think that like, it kind of makes full circle, and like spoilers. So like, we're not going to talk about that, but like, it's that start of the arc.
Yeah, it is.
You could definitely see Tony's arc starting in Avengers, not like an actual arc, not like the repetitive thing we get in the Iron Man movies.
Also, I never understood Stony shippers. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, Stony? It's a terrible ship. But then I like that scene where they're like, what are you in a big man in a suit? What happens if you take it off? And I was like, oh, I see where the fandom went with that.
Billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, and still can't do shit without that suit, sir.
Like, I've actually seen people like theories that have made Tony bi, which is an interesting.
Stop.
Yeah. Like I don't.
Everyone is bi. Underneath it all, everyone is bi. But
Well,
at
you know,
the end
like
of
that
the day,
scene.
but I really like.
Did you post on Discord?
Well, 3 actually cut me off when I was going to.
Okay.
So
Cool. Thank you.
Bree did it. So Bree did it. I was going to. I opened it up to be like, stop, and then she was like, and stop, and I was like,
I did not even participate in this boss battle. Whoops.
I fully used Nick Fury because I
That's
was
what
so
Fury is
anxious
for.
last night.
That is what Fury is for.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we
I
have
participated in like half of them. So
now we also will have Star-Lord starting this month, so you'll have another one to be able to skip.
yeah, great.
I'm very
Probably will
excited.
only use it if there's something like collectible for the boss battle.
I never want to use it on like a really big fun one though, and then I feel like the little ones, I'm like, well, I could just participate, but then the big ones, I'm like, I must win organically.
Same. All right, who haven't we?
Before moving on
Okay.
to our big boss battle, is there anything else we want to talk about with Avengers?
We haven't talked about Thor.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said we haven't talked about Thor yet.
Well, this is
But
right.
The best line. Actually,
I
no,
want
that's
to talk about
not the line.
Loki.
Oh
Actually.
yes, that's a good idea.
I feel
So-
like Thor and Loki were not like. I feel like Loki sort of got some development, but I feel like Thor, we didn't really see a
Underplayed.
whole lot of him in it, which is dumb considering his involvement should have been a lot more.
Yeah.
Considering it's his brother,
He's a
I just feel like there should have been a little bit more conversation,
Yeah.
of some
He
kind
should
to
have
do with
taken the lead a little bit more.
I
everything
feel like
that's going on with them.
they were probably saving that for Thor 2 though, knowing where Thor 2 goes. So like you don't want to repeat the same thing. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been more involved, you're right. But like I think that there are certain things that like they want to save for the solo movies, and that makes sense when it's their movie.
That's true.
So.
But Loki, his like the start of this, I feel like there was a huge leap between Thor and Avengers. And
I
It doesn't make any
didn't
sense.
think so.
It doesn't make any sense. In Thor, he's like, Daddy, notice me, Daddy, I did it for you, Daddy. And then in Thor, and then in Avengers, thank you, Alex. He's just like, I'm gonna take over the world. I'm like, what happened to your daddy issues?
So here's the thing: his brother just sent him into the abyss of who knows where. He gets taken in by people that aren't named, and so I felt like his entire kind of motivation was number one, paying back a debt, but also he just wanted to make his brother hurt, and he knows his brother loves Earth. That's actual, like, I'm pretty sure that's canon when it comes to the.
I think it is based on the comics, but like it wasn't explained well.
Oh, I was saying in Norse mythology, but yeah, no, it definitely could have been explained better. But I kind of got that through line that he'd been taken in by I don't remember his name, who is who's thing, and then so like the leap is logical for me because
I think even if there'd been one scene where like, but if I do this, Daddy will notice me, because that's his whole thing in the first movie. His daddy were so intense.
His motivation isn't really clearly transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't show the jump from his motivation here to his motivation here of like being
just acts out like
daddy issues to being well, I don't care even about daddy issues anymore. I just I just want to take over. I want control and power, because if I'm going to be in this position where nobody cares about me, in his mind, then I
feel like Loki has always been about control and power. He might have the daddy issues, but he's always wanted that's part of why he's so jealous of Thor. Like,
but I think that this was because there wasn't a lot of explanation. It made him a very cookie cutter villain.
Yeah. See, this is where I don't care.
But like, okay, but like compare it to Ragnarok, without spoiling things, but spoiling things. In Ragnarok, when he has the opportunity to be in charge, he shit posts. He's like, I'm gonna have plays made in my honor, and I'm gonna watch them and eat some grapes and lounge around like an idiot. Like that's what he does when he's actually in charge. So then why, when he's in Germany, he's like, everybody bow to me.
Right.
Excuse me.
Put them in charge.
We do have an entire movie between then and then. Stuff's happened.
I'm just saying, because like Loki in charge in Ragnarok, not that bad. Not that bad.
Catherine Jones. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, it's, you kind of love Loki as a villain in Thor. Or not a villain, but like, you know, you love Loki as a character. But then in Avengers, like, there's such a disconnect, and you don't really love Loki in Avengers. Like, it's really hard to love him.
To me, again, I feel like if his motivation was stronger, like if we saw more of the why he's doing what he's doing during this movie, because we saw the why behind what he was doing in Thor, and that's why you can get behind him, but you don't, like, his motivation doesn't make sense anymore when you get to Avengers. So the lack of it,
I mean, he was casually committing genocide in Thor. Could not get behind him at all in any way,
get
shape,
behind
or
him versus understand him, though.
I can't understand, but
I wonder if it's like when they went to go to write the Avengers script, they had to pull back on some of Loki's stuff because they were like, "Oh shit, everyone loves him. He's supposed to be a bad guy."
That's why you stick to your guns, though. You don't think about the audience. You just stick to your guns. Okay. Anyway, sorry. We're gonna get into DC if I go further with that.
As though I feel like I really, really loved Thor in this movie because his whole thing was just like, I just want to bring him home and wrap him up and make sure he's safe. I just love my little brother. And I'm like,
he's too cute. I hate it.
He's so fucking cute.
I hate it. It hurts my soul too much. I'm just like, why do you still trust him so much, and why do you try so hard? Stop being a good brother.
He's a himbo, guys. Of course he trusts him.
I hate it. It's too good.
All right. Well, let's move on to the battle, Loki boss battle, which was the random chaotic readathon that I'm pretty sure came out of a fever dream.
No, I think we just wanted to inflict as much pain as possible.
Just wait for Ultron, babes.
Just wait. an Infinity War.
The best part of this whole the readathon planning stage for me so far has been lying awake in the middle of the night. I mean, like, Alex, I can't sleep, and Alex being like, "Why?" I'm thinking about Ultron.
That is when you know that something is taking over your life. You're like, when all that you think about is like, I want to do this for the readathon, or oh, I got to work on this for the readathon, or oh, I want to get ready for this, or I need to read this book so I can finish this character book because I really want to get this done.
I know.
Like,
that's the only reason
you know that you're passionate.
Right. Yes. Here for Fever Dream reading challenges. Like, I don't even know how this one started, but we essentially were just like, okay, what's the most chaotic thing you can think of?
It worked though. I feel like I got so many comments from people being like, this was so much fun, and it got me really reading this weekend, and I really appreciate it. And it made, I don't know, like, you guys did a lot more of the planning than I did, but it just made me like fuzzy and warm.
Yeah, it all started with like the coin toss part, where we were like, what can we do to make this, like, you don't know what's gonna happen. We were like, flip a coin, that picture book, and we were like, okay, yeah, but like, they don't know that. Then you came up with they don't know that, and until after they picked which books they're gonna have to.
I think we came up with the prompt. I don't remember whether it was the coin flip or the prompts that came first, but somebody was like, we should do like 5, 10, or 6, 12, and I was like,
comes in with drink
a beverage until you have to. So never made the final cut. A prompt that never made the final cut. I was just thinking of like chaotic challenges. Was drink a beverage and read until you have to pee.
Yes.
That's what started the individual ideas of prompts. That was the first prompt idea after the coin toss. Is that right there?
I love the prompts though. They're really fun.
Yeah.
So what kind of started it? We started planning it right around the time that Becca had her like weekend bookathon, and so we kind of took that as a jumping off point because she kind of does that like 12, 24th, and so then we were like, I think it was Margaret that was like, let's do completely random times that we
Yeah,
drop.
I was like, because I'm a pattern person. So if I started noticing, okay, they did it at 6 and they did it at 12. Okay, so they're going to do it at 18. I was like, what if it wasn't only prime numbers?
Right. So, and I feel like we probably were like making up some of the rules as we went along because it became such a big, like, our group has grown so much from the 5 people that we started with in like August or September of last year.
So heartwarming that we came up with this like whole idea of just like, you know, it's all because I said let's watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier for Vaultathon, and then you guys turned that into a real thing.
Pretty much.
But it's so heartwarming that there were like so many people that were like, I can't wait to see what the next prompt is and blah blah. And I was like,
Yeah.
they really love us.
It's been so much fun. Like, and I'm, and it's just going to continue to get bigger because I think that even when we were doing this in January, we had no idea that this the Battle Loki readathon would
going to happen. We were just
stage.
Yeah.
And it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger as the movies get more grandiose.
I'm actually kind of scared at this point.
Considering the shit I thought up of for Ultron, I don't even want to know what we end up doing for Thanos. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm a little terrified.
Yeah. Very excited. Thank you very much. If you notice,
So funny.
Yes.
It doesn't show it, but there you go.
Yeah.
That's my name today.
I was driving my friend to dog training, and I was watching your video like on data in my car, like when we are parked, and she Wilder from last night, and she's just like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Don't worry about it."
Those were 100% not scripted.
That's why it worked.
I was like, I'm just gonna go with it. And then like the insurance one was because I was watching. There's a TikTok string, like the skit that this person was doing that was an insurance claims adjuster in New York in
Those
the
were
MCU.
hilarious.
And they were like, "I'm sorry, you do not have the Black Widow coverage."
Oh yeah, I've seen those TikToks. They're so good.
So that's why I was like, because I think like while I was filming them, I had been watching them recently, and I was like, I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you think we can pay James Spader to do like a cameo for Ultron?
Yeah,
Just like it's a cameo.
Christine, I don't know who you're talking to. I'm broke.
If this gets this many likes, then maybe tag James Spader and be like,
Tag
"If
James
we get
Spader.
this amount of likes, can we please have a cameo for our next thing?"
We just need you to say one mean thing.
He's the fucking Lizard King.
I mean, like we could do like an audio clip of. I mean, he's been in so many things.
Just like take James Spader words from like over the years and stuff them together.
Yes.
He has such an iconic voice though, like nobody could recreate it.
It's
Maybe
true.
we look for
It's true.
voice actors that sound like James Spader.
I don't think it exists.
Yeah, put out a cat. Like, does anyone
Doesn't
want to
exist.
bully a bunch of readers for 2 days? Give us a call.
That'd be perfect.
I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure there are James Spader impersonators out there that we could definitely like interview. Be like, hey,
Right.
you want to pretend to be Ultron for a weekend or whatever.
So Mitchell says that one aspect that worked well was the reasonable chunks of time in contrast to all being given at once. I think that added to the chaos because
I like
it was like, they weren't normal prompts. Like they were completely random. And so you had, especially by the end, once people were starting to realize that like they weren't normal, you had no clue what was happening.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is like even for us, there were things that were kind of spontaneous that we had to, like when somebody was like, I'm at work for the next 8 hours. When can I get this done by? And I was like, spontaneously, 12 hours. There, that's enough time, right?
Well, like, so
it was
for
nice
me,
though,
It's like,
You
The
didn't
way
have
I-
to
Go
the
ahead.
whole time. Like you could just do what you had to do and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I
Because I
did
was
it in
thinking
chunks
like
of time.
people. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, people are gonna be at work, and yeah, people are gonna have to sleep, and they still need a few hours in between to be able to do things.
I think
So I was like,
completed, like the first 3 prompts all in one
Sure.
go. Like I didn't even start the readathon until there were 3 prompts
Yeah.
out. And I was like, all
Oh,
right, let's just
yeah.
go. And then I was waiting for a prompt, so I went back and did the ones I hadn't done.
There you go.
There's a vlog somewhere that will happen.
Yeah, I had to kind of strategically make it work because that weekend ended up being a little bit crazy for me. Like some crazy stuff happened that I was not planning. Like my plan was for like the readathon to be everything of my weekend, and that is not what happened. It was like everything else happened, and reading did not happen that much. So I had to like strategically use the rewards or the advantages to like make it work so that I
Right.
could like extend it.
I didn't
and
use one
make it
power.
happen.
I did not use one Avenger power. I just did it.
You got skills.
I didn't have any Avengers at that point, so
Oh, I had them all. I just didn't use them.
I think I used.
Have
I-
you
I
finished a
used
board yet, though?
Natasha. I had to use Natasha, and I didn't have to even use 24
Yeah.
hours. I finished. I think I finished the book like 45 minutes later, after
Mhm.
midnight or after 11. What was really fun was that I was on a plane one of those days because I had to fly to Texas. So then I also had to like send, because they were like all of the videos on YouTube were unlisted. So I like nobody else had access to them. Nobody else, like the other host did not know what the prompts were.
I honestly didn't. It was actually great being on Discord and people were like, what's going to happen next? And I was like, I have no fucking idea.
Really?
They
They knew
didn't
kind
give
of was
us the
happening, but not
option.
what it was. Yeah.
yeah, Brianna gave us the option, and we were like, no, we're gonna participate as fully as possible.
So I did like, but on Sunday, I think I had to drop them like one early because I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be on a plane when this one drops, and you can't like Discord doesn't allow you to schedule.
Schedule stuff.
So I was like, you're gonna have to take this one.
Mhm.
So that was fun, but it was an adventure, and yes, I have seen the notes for Ultron's Avengers.
It happened at midnight, and it was just like, it was literally like the hand of Ultron himself descended from heaven.
It really was.
I
beautiful.
saw the notes. I saw the notes, and I did the that's too much to read. I'm happy for you though, or sad. I was like,
Because then when I dropped it on you, then
I trust you, Christine. Let's go.
anyways, coming soon to a theater near you, Ultron. We all know how I feel about Ultron.
Oh my goodness.
What
I'm
book did
fully
we
prepared
read
for this.
for this? Like, what did how did you choose your books? I just like was like, I'm gonna choose
Oh,
2 real
yeah.
skinny ones.
Well, that was the funny thing is that because we all knew what was happening, but we didn't want to tell anybody else. And like some of the things that people thought it was going to be when we were just like, pick 2 books. Some people chose violence. Like, I remember there was one in the comment of the Discord that was like, they're going to tell us we can't read one of the books until next month.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was
"What?
like you have to read one this month,
God.
and you can't read the other one until
Yeah.
next month. It was like that. Yeah, I saw that.
We appreciate the suggestion though.
Yeah,
Right.
you literally were giving us ideas on how to bully you.
See,
Dun, dun,
See,
dun, dun,
that's
dun,
the
dun.
great
And we were
thing.
taking
Yeah.
notes. Thank you.
Every time you guys drop like your guesses of what might happen,
We definitely have a list.
you're just giving us fuel. You're just giving us fuel for how to torture you later.
I don't think anyone has guessed kind of the Ultron stuff. So hopefully
We
they'll-
just brought it up, Christine.
no, but they were saying, what are they going to do next week?
I don't even
That
think
was
Ultron
a big
was
thing. That was a big thing. It was what are they going to do? Because like if this is Avengers 1, I don't want to know what Avengers 2 is. And I was
Dun dun dun.
but I picked The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon and The Once and Future Witches, but I'm glad I picked Samantha Shannon because I ended up doing everything page count wise, and I read The
Yeah.
Once and Future riches over audio, so it worked for me. But I picked it because Sarah was like, read it. And I was like, okay, Sarah, I love you. So.
I picked Full Metal Alchemist, and then I finally read The 100 Rebellion and spent most of the book mad at how badly they botched the final season of the show, but like it also cleansed my soul. I was like, this is the ending they deserved, sort of.
Maybe I should go back and read it now.
It's not terrible. It's your typical like 2012 YA dystopian type thing. Not the best thing I've ever read, but like the characters are good. At least Bellamy and Clark are good. I could care less about Wells and Glass.
There you go. I picked one of the graphic novels. I don't remember what it was because I never ended up reading it. And then The Midnight Library, which is the one that won.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my entire vlog is just me reading that book. Like that's the only thing I read in that vlog. And it was only I think it's only a 250 page book or something like that. But it worked. So
I wanted it to be fair, so I picked a short book and a long book. So I did My Oxford Year, which was 300 and something pages, and then I did the other option was Ghosts of the Shadow Market, which is 600 pages.
Yeah, but it's a fast read.
Yeah.
Cassandra Clare writes really.
That's why I picked that one. I was like, it's long, but it could also be feasibly done. Yeah. So it's a good option. It's an in-between option, but I ended up flipping for My Oxford Year, but I didn't finish it until during the week after, but I used the shawarma reward for it to still count as completing it for the coin flip. Because I was able to complete all the other prompts except that. I didn't finish the book within the 48 hours. So I did that strategically. But I was going to vlog, but with everything that happened, I was so boring and out of it. I was like, no, we're just going to have to do a weekend vlog some other time to make up for it. Because this is not it. Because I'm just... So no vlog evidence happened. But I promise I did do it.
I have vlog evidence of everything, including me moving around my house to read in different rooms. It's
I did film that.
I was 11 p.m. I'm I can't actually go anywhere. So I'm just gonna move chairs.
I only had to read 8 pages for that challenge because it was move around or however many chapters were in the last book, and I was like 8. Okay, I'll read 8 pages.
Yeah, mine was it was gonna be read 6 because I read a poetry collection was the last one I had finished, so it would have been 6 pages. Yeah. But I wanted to do the move around thing, so I did it, and I did film that. I just by the end of the day on Sunday, I was just this vlog is not going up. Maybe I'll just put that part together and put a 1-minute video up, set up of me doing all that. And because I didn't even leave my room. I just moved to different spots in my room for it. I was going to sit on my desk if it came to it, just sit on top of my desk and then sit under my desk for the next one. That was my plan, but I didn't end up having to do that.
We repeated a couple places. Not twice in a row, but we did repeat a couple of places.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle read We Were Liars.
It's a good choice. That book. It's a good readathon choice.
So much. Sally read Girl.
Oh, look at Christine! Look at using the little slider that she didn't know existed until yesterday.
Oh, it's very funny. It's very funny, isn't it? I only snapped my phone.
We spent 10 minutes with Christine trying to figure out why her camera was not working, and she comes on and she's like, "So this slides."
Ma'am, I have claw marks down the side of my face from the panic attack I had thinking my work computer was broken.
Oh, God.
It's not funny. It's a little funny. But it's funny.
It's a little funny now. Anyway.
I've read Amari and the Night Brothers. I actually just bought that book.
I need to get moving on my Rick Riordan, actually going through, because I want to get to the Riordan Presents. I was saving them for a book club I used to do. We're not doing that book club anymore, so.
Same, Margaret. I need to get on those Rick Riordan Presents. So if you ever want to try to buddy read something, we can do that.
I'll let you know. I have to finish Trials of Apollo though first.
All right. Anything else you want to
public
talk about?
support.
With,
Yeah, I have 2 left.
let's see.
I kept getting 4s.
Roll the 4 chapters, 44 pages, and the double. Let's read another 44. And she read House of Hollow. And
What was the one? It was do like 100 pages or do it was something else, and I was like, it ended up being I could choose between doing 99 pages and doing 100 pages.
I think it was tripling your age.
Your age, okay, that's right. And I was like, well, that
mine
doesn't
was
work.
like 93 pages or 100 pages.
I was just like,
and then Stacy read A Court of Wings and Ruin. That's a big book.
ooh, that's
Yeah,
also
she
one
went
that's
hard.
easy to go through, though.
This
Like,
is true. This is true.
let's see. Oh, there's one. Yeah. I'm excited to get to some of the Rick Riordan or the Riordan Presents. I like what he's doing with that series, that imprint. So
So far I own a whole 3 Rick Riordan books. I'm trying to collect them all so I can start binging.
So far, I have all of them. I just need to get the very last one.
All right.
and out of room on my Rick Riordan shelf. So
Yeah, same.
Iron Man 3.
Let's talk about Iron Man 3. Okay. We kind of teased it a little bit at the beginning. So that was the second movie that we watched. Most of us.
Can we talk about my pet peeve for this movie first, or do we have other things we want to talk about?
I have no order of this. I'm not organized.
I just want to point out that none of you thought I was going to watch it on the same weekend that The Falcon and the Winter Soldier finished. Like, none of you thought I was going to watch Iron Man. Okay.
When there's Shadow and Bone to also get
I
through?
watched Shadow and Bone twice that weekend.
I haven't watched any of them.
Priorities, right? Priorities.
Talking about Shadow and Bone. Talking about Iron Man 3. Margaret, what's your pet peeve?
They try so hard to make Tony Stark Bruce Wayne in this movie, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, we have a man who spent like 10, 15 years traveling the world and learning stuff, and you think just because you're a genius that you're going to be able to do that? No, I don't believe it. Anyways, like the mechanical stuff, yes, I believe, but some of the other stuff, I'm just like, no, I don't actually believe that.
So
Anyways,
I think of the Iron Man movies, this one is definitely the best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like there's a whole argument to that.
Yeah. There's so many more facets to it.
Ben Kingsley?
The bar is on the floor.
I disagree though, because I think, okay, so one thing is that like the presence of Ben Kingsley personally offends me. So like it's bad for that reason.
So I just mean like the plot, the way that like the characters kind of grow a little bit more. They did a good job with the mental health rep.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And
you gotta throw them that bone.
This one they do a good job of giving other characters besides Tony plots and plot arcs.
Yeah.
So Pepper has that plot arc. Happy has a little bit that he's doing. And it all ties into Tony because obviously he's the main character, but it's not just like it's the same thing, but it's a little more nuanced, I think, than we got in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2.
Even Brownface has a plot arc in this movie.
Is it with who?
Kingsley, he's made his career as a white man off playing Asian characters.
He's not. I mean, he's half white, but I looked him up because I was sitting there going, "Oh, this makes sense."
Kingsley played Gandhi.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
You're telling me. So
Because he's
choices.
definitely light, but he's not. What was it?
but they're having Ben Kingsley play the Mandarin.
Yeah.
I know why he took that role. That is his motif. But
see, I didn't really see it as being like I feel like it was somebody that like the character
Like,
of what's his face.
His original.
They didn't think through the actor they were going to pick for Mandarin. Like I saw it not as a part of like the MCU picking a bad actor. I saw it as I can't think of his name right now. But like the guy,
Killian.
yeah,
Honestly,
like the
that's
guy.
fair because he does talk about
Like,
he does
I
talk
like-
about like they gave him surgery and stuff and blah 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 to make him look a certain way or whatever. So that does make sense.
His original name was Krishna but Banji. So, like, I don't know what that translates to, but I know that only one of his parents is white. I don't know the other one.
It's widely called out for being.
I mean, I'm sure.
In that case, but
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, I just think that.
And we also had the opportunity to have an Asian villain, and gave the role to Ben Kingsley.
I think the way the plot went, it made sense. Why? I mean, like, I get what you're saying.
Something you're going to convince me is okay.
No. Considering the fact that it was a white man behind all of it, of course he's going to pick a white actor.
Hollywood is very famous for taking
a
role like that. And
right, but he's...
Yeah, and that's true for
he wasn't.
All sorts of roles. Like, you know, they'll just take whoever they want, and like if their skin color is close enough, if they're, you know, if they can be tan.
But where is Ben Kingsley close to being
whatever? Then they'll just throw
Mandarin
them in a role to make it work instead of actually seeking out somebody who can represent it properly.
Yeah,
right.
But
I don't know. I'm not defending it, and I think it's the reason that it's one of the worst Marvel movies. But
I don't like. I guess when I watched it, I thought it was the character's decision to not cast that role properly, not the MCU's. Like,
but it was like
just because like I was a moron and he didn't think past his cis white man brain.
No, but I understand how it's logicked in. Like, I understand the logic of it in the movie, right? Like, I have seen the movie, even though I didn't watch this month. I understand the logic of it in the movie. I'm saying people in the writer's room made a decision to take a famous villain from Marvel Comics who is canonically Asian, like and like Chinese Asian, and cast Ben Kingsley and be like, it's just a joke. He's just like a fake guy. He's just like a fake. This is like one of the most formidable Iron Man.
That's the one that bugs me. Yeah, like the fact that Mandarin is a joke. That bothered. That bothered.
He's like a formidable villain.
Yeah.
But all the other white Iron Man villains get to be formidable and scary in the movies, but not Mandarin.
That's true. That's fair.
So this movie is officially.
Okay, but what about Pepper Potts being a badass?
Yes.
We'll give it that one. We'll give it points there.
I love that Pepper saved the day. Number one, because she gets to save the day. And number two, because I knew it was going to piss off the dude bros that would be like, no, Tony should have done it.
I just love how she did all that, and then she was like, "Oh my god, that was really violent." That
is so good.
Such a good reaction.
Such a good line. I love her. She's too cute.
Yes,
it's definitely
lie,
where
I was like
she
so
kind
frustrated with her when Tony was going through what he was going through, and she's like constantly running away from him, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, you're doing the exact opposite of what is okay for like just." The way that she like, I know this is a natural reaction for some people, but my whole entire being around people who have had PTSD, and then her just like running away from him at like every turn, I'm just like, stop, you're making it worse.
Yeah,
it's just me.
This is because Tony needed to go to therapy.
Right.
Well, also, I liked. There are two things that I liked about like what I saw. Number one, the fact that he was willing. Like, we actually have a cis white straight man going, hey, I'm having issues like mentally. Right. That is good. I think that like that's one of those things that we need to see more of. And then I love the scene where like he has given away their address. Although I'm like, people could just Google that shit, but he's given away their address, and her reaction is like, I saw the bags, I was like, oh man, that's right, they break up, don't they? And then she's like, no, we are leaving. Like, she's like, we're a team. You're going crazy, but we're a team, and we're getting out of here because that's what normal people do.
Right. Yeah.
I loved that scene.
I also, what about? Okay, so like, although his role is so small, I also just kind of want to like give props to Happy, because like everybody was so ripping on him for like really being concerned about security and everything like that, and it's like you realize that was his best friend is Tony. Like, he's not. Tony Stark is not. Doesn't like. Tony Stark has a best friend. That's Rhodey. But for Happy, Tony is his best friend. And so to see that like on TV and like see it everywhere of like what happened to his best friend, and then to have to see him like that in real life and not be able to do anything, being able to control security was like his only thing. And then people ripped on him so hard for that. And then it was like then he got blown up. It was like obviously he was concerned. This exact thing that he was concerned about happened.
Yeah. Tony calls him his best friend in the movie. He calls Happy that.
But like,
and I
you
think
can
that, like,
clearly tell that
their relationship really developed when Tony saw, like how far Happy was willing to go when Happy went and he tried to, take a step because he knew something was going on, and so he went and he sought out answers himself, and then when Tony saw the, how much Happy really cared and was, trying, beyond just Badge, beyond that, seeing his willingness to actually put himself in harm's way. I think that really developed Tony's love for him and like their friendship.
Because that was like the only thing that Happy could really control is the like making sure everybody had their badge.
Yeah. Right.
And the security. Like, so I definitely felt like he was going overboard on some of the small things with the security. I totally understood why he was paranoid, and he like I like that he followed that hunch. But on the other hand, I'm like, sir, personal relationships are also like necessary. You can't just be like, hey, y'all all have to wear your badge now. You've got to like actually sell it to people and explain it to them.
Right.
So and maybe don't hover so close over Pepper. Like, just I'm sitting there going,
bless him.
This is a grown woman. She can kind of manage her own security risks to some extent, Happy.
His love language is just being a worrywart. Yeah, like that's just his love language.
Overprotective.
I think he definitely grows.
One of the things that I kind of liked about Iron Man 3, about like if you look at the difference between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3, in Iron Man 1, they're like that movie is like pure military propaganda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it still kind of is in Iron Man 3, but when they renamed him Iron Patriot or whatever. And right. But like Rhodey's very hesitant because he's like, War Machine's better. And like, his password is like still War Machine rocks or something like that. And it's like just this like little pushback to this like Americanized military
I mean, it's still rife with anti-Arab sentiment, which obviously that's not going to be something that like until our Hollywood has a reckoning with what that actually means. I know that's not going to change, but like
it's more until like they're not paid by those people.
Yeah.
But I liked the little bit of pushback that we weren't like diehard like buying into whatever
the government propaganda.
Yeah.
Which is funny. It's funny that the Steve Rogers movies with that guy Steve Rogers, they're accused of that a lot. But I find it funny that I feel like the Iron Man movies are way more like pro-government than the Steve Rogers movies.
Definitely think so.
We're in like 2 out of 3 Steve Rogers movies, he's a fugitive. He's like of the government, and even in the first one, he like fully disobeys all the time. So,
I had a thought, and now it's gone. Oh wow.
I hate it when that happens. Okay.
I absolutely loved the scene where he's like, I'm gonna kill you first, and then because after the guy like stomps on the watch and he's like, that was actually my friend's sister's, and then he replaces it. I was like, oh my god,
good.
Like Dilf Tony. Okay, we're here now.
Yes. Dad Tony
that was one of my favorite
Tony,
parts,
let's be honest.
So Jessica has an interesting point that I kind of want to. I mean, the difference with Steve is that he's fighting against Nazis, and I think everyone can agree that Nazis are bad. And that's part of my issues. Like, we obviously know Nazis have harmful propaganda, but then when we start doing the stuff like going against terrorists, like who is and isn't a terrorist, a lot of the time depends on what's going on. Like what this, like there's so many times that people who are actually fighting for their freedom are called terrorists, instead of like it's on the other side.
They're a wonderful little show that recently premiered and finished on Disney Plus. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
So yeah, it goes directly into, I saw a tweet that was talking about the fact that like a lot of superhero movies, they give the language of revolutionaries to the villain. So they give the language of the people who are actually fighting for change in a country to the villain. And then they give this kind of really cut and dry, right and wrong moral argument to the superheroes, which is basically like, it's basically cop propaganda.
Except for our Lord and Savior, Samuel Thomas Wilson.
Yes. Yeah. So I think we are moving in the right direction after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but like even in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to some extent, that bothered me a little bit. Christine.
Yeah. That's not what we're talking about today.
Anyways, so
I will keep you on topic if it kills me.
I keep waiting for something that is actually truly nuanced and where they go in on the other side. There was like, we had that opportunity in Iron Man 1 where he could have gotten in on the other side and realized
we did it
for their families.
We did it.
I don't think it was
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I don't think it was so my problem there is that they were still in the end the bad guys. Like,
were they the bad guys though?
In the eye of the public, yes. And
in
like
the eye of the public, but not in the eye of the viewer.
I think if you ask a lot of viewers, that would be the case.
Didn't listen to the script or the dialogue or anything Sam had to say.
Right. Well.
So like
when do we ever listen?
Yeah. It just bugs me when we're like, no, but our way is the right way to handle these issues. Like, yeah, you've got the right idea, but you shouldn't be doing, like, what you're resorting to is wrong. So, and in some cases, yes, it is, but in a lot of the cases, it's like, well, they're defending themselves. Like, you started it.
And Sam said that!
I know he did.
Also, I think the only thing that I didn't like about the movie was how that scene between Tony and that kid when they're at the little memorial in that small town and he starts mentioning like what happened in New York, and I feel like they were trying to make that comedic, and it's like Tony Stark's literally having a panic attack and you're trying to make this moment comical.
Yeah.
So that's what I noticed, that a lot of the scenes when it involved his mental health, like, oh, he's just being dramatic or he's just being like, they were trying to make it seem funny, but it's like PTSD is not funny.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah,
No,
I can agree with that, especially with like I feel like part of it is the way they played it. Like if they had intensified the cinematography and intensified the music behind the moment, then the kid asking multiple questions would have felt more like him trying to figure out what to do. If they had played it differently.
He's not going to notice, I don't think. So that made sense. But yeah, the fact that they were trying to play it as comedic is a problem.
Exactly. If they had just changed the cinematography and the music, they could have really changed the way that moment felt and changed it from feeling like they're trying to play it funny to actually being as intense as it is. And I feel like that too is something that they could have done more with Tony himself, is really trying to like delve into the feeling of a panic attack and maybe intensifying that more with, you know, even if it's just like that cutting out of sounds, that white noise feeling that happens and that black, you know, vision loss, things like that they could have, you know, just hearing him breathing, panicking.
He did get through them really fast.
Yeah, if they had really just taken a moment or two to add the layers of what it really feels like and brought the viewer into what he's experiencing, and then after you start to feel that, pulling out to see a kid trying to help. And when he is able to hear the kid, then trying to like communicate to the kid what he needs when he doesn't even know what he needs. Like, there could have been so much done there that if they had changed the way that they filmed it and edited it, because I don't think it was necessarily the writing that was the choice that, I don't think the writing was where the choice was made to make it funny. I think it was
in the editing.
It was definitely between, the filming and the editing process where it really played that way. And that's something I think that, it's a director thing and an editor thing, that if the director had, made a few calls on, I need these kinds of shots, I need the DP to pull these for me, and I, having the editor telling them to really take their time to pull this into an emotional place where you can actually, because like the way that Tony is interacting with the fact that he's having these problems is done well. It's the when they're happening that I feel like just
not the acting.
It was because you can see him trying to like respond to it and the kid trying to help, but then in the moment, the way that he says things and what he's saying without the feeling of intensity that you would be experiencing in real life. And when you're working with film, the person isn't there. We're not there. You have to pull that through with what you're doing in the work with the camera and with the work with the audio, and how you do it is everything. Because like when you're in a situation, you're focusing on specific things. You notice specific things,
Yeah, there's like a
in real
disconnect
life
between filming and between like
editing.
Exactly.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier also did a good job of that with Bucky's therapy scene.
I'm sorry, what? And the Winter Soldier?
You're right. Captain and the Winter Soldier did a good job of that. In the first episode, with Bucky's therapy scene, there's like he like can't the camera never is able to like focus on like one thing for too long, and it's like very dissociating, and it's like it'll focus on the wall, it'll focus on something else, and it's like it's portraying that he like literally is freaking out right now. Like,
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I wonder if there's like Iron Man might be at a disadvantage because all of his movies were so early on in the MCU's like filming process. Whereas, like, yes, they do a lot better with a lot of different things.
I don't know that mental health is one of them, though, until we've gotten to some of these TV shows. Because, like, that's not the first. This is the first time they've played off mental issues for laughs, but it's definitely not the last.
Well, literally Avengers, where Bruce Banner literally admits his suicide and how he tried to kill himself.
Oh, yeah, no, so this is like
glosses over it.
It's like nobody really takes a moment to like soak it in. They're just like, oh, okay,
yeah.
But like, I wonder if like had these movies been made now, if they would have been done different.
If we made an Incredible Hulk movie today, Bruce's mental health situation would be much more than just him being empty.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is feedback from these movies, though. I think when we had some of the later movies and they had the critiques for the way mental health rep was handled and played as a joke, I think people, because that was a lot on social media, and it wouldn't have been as much on social media in the earlier movies. So they're getting feedback and they're going, okay. So I think without the earlier movies, we would not be able to get to where we are. As far as the shows and stuff and handling things goes.
If not for Tony, Bucky's therapy scenes would have been lackluster. Thanks, Tony.
It's an interesting point in theory that it comes across as funny. Isn't it possible that the kid is only dealing with it how a kid really would deal? Plus, someone with a control issue like Tony might need a moment like that. And I think that that's a good point. Like sometimes, personally, like dealing with panic attacks, like I get like secondhand embarrassment if I have a click. And it makes it so much worse, and you do a lot more to try to mask and try to make it look as it's not as bad when you're around somebody that isn't necessarily like aware of what's going on or knows the story,
or you don't necessarily know what's going on because it's all new to him.
I also definitely relate to like in more like Avengers movies, like not when he's interacting with Harley so much, but when he's interacting with other adults and he's like a complete dick to them when he's being anxious. I'm like, that's me.
Right. Well, that's because you're both Gemini.
I was thinking that. I was like, that's just how Geminis deal with their anxiety. Is we're like, fuck you for even looking at me right now. Like,
anything else you want to talk about with Iron Man 3?
No.
Okay.
Oh gosh, never. No.
Christine's like, we could have just not talked about this.
This recent boss battle that we just did.
How did that go?
That was apparently anxiety inducing. I thought it was fun.
It was fun.
So this idea came about because of like the scene in Iron Man where they're like barrel of monkeys and they're like trying to catch the people that are falling out of the plane. So then we decided to do a book recommendation. We always try to do our boss battles. We'll do like one that'll be like bigger or it'll be a reading type thing, and then we usually try to do something that's a little bit like quicker. Or it doesn't require, especially at the end of the month, like we're not going to require you to change your TBR on the last day of the month. So we try to do something a little bit fun and interesting. So this one was done predominantly, or I guess only in the Discord. And we did definitely like drop it very spontaneously. When we started the boss battles and we came up with the idea of boss battles in the first place, that was the whole goal. Is that it was supposed to be spontaneous. We weren't supposed to give you guys a
lot of lead time.
It was coming. It was just supposed to like drop and.
But there are only so many Saturdays in every month.
Yeah,
exactly. Which is why some of them are happening on Friday.
Yeah,
and other days.
The next one's going to be at Tuesday at midnight.
But not really.
Don't listen to Christine. She's just trying to make you scared. So
is it working?
For the record, when we started doing the boss battles, I was like, yeah, let's just drop it last minute. And the other hosts were like, maybe we should give them a little warning and be nice to them. And I was like, no, let's not be nice to them. Let's do it.
Yep.
I'm all for like chaos and making people suffer.
I don't want to deal with complaints.
Yeah, well, they can. If they don't like it, they don't have to do it. Like, I'm sorry. It's an option.
All right. So next one, Margaret's going to be at Thursday at 7 a.m. to 7:01 a.m. And if you don't win, you lose all of the Avengers.
No, I only have one, Christine.
Well, I'm sorry. You no longer have Steve Rogers.
I don't have Steve Rogers. I have Peter Parker.
You have who?
I don't have anybody yet.
Peter? Oh.
I have Peter Parker.
Okay. I have everyone but Wanda.
I was like,
I'm still missing.
I wish I had your energy, Christine.
Scarlet, Bucky, and Groot.
I'm so jealous.
Bucky.
Well, I will have it once I read Nevermore, but I haven't picked up a book in a week.
The only acceptable explanation for not that's a pretty good acceptable explanation for not having Bucky. The only other one is that Mitchell's like, I want to wait to get Bucky until June for Pride, and I was like, okay.
That's adorable.
Well, I will. Like, if you look at my calendar, because I do a schedule when I'm supposed to read books. I was supposed to start Nevermore on Tuesday, and obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. All right, you have a free pass. Mitchell has a free pass. Everyone else better get to work on Bucky.
I am working on Bucky. I have 2 of the 3 books I need.
Where am I on Bucky's?
Did I do a thing for him yet? I'm behind.
So, does everybody want to see
James Buchanan Barnes Wilson? And not because of me.
The reward for the last.
I'll give it a good
Oh
shot.
yeah. Here. Hang on.
Let me find it. Share screen.
No.
It's Happy.
Ew.
Ew. So Happy will be an Avenger. He will be a board that you guys will be able to start on like today. There will be a like secret Discord channel, just like all of our other ones that have Rex. Margaret, explain how that works.
What I'm just gonna put it in the Discord. Like, there's not a like.
Well, it'll be like the special missions where like you have to click on an emoji.
Give me a minute because I completely forgot that I have to do the code for that. But I'll do it so that like only people.
It'll be up at some point today, and we'll make an announcement.
It'll be up by the end of the weekend.
Right. So I'm not going to go over each of the prompts. His reward his advantage is you can use a book from Spider-Man, Iron Man, or Happy to fulfill a prompt on another board. So if you've participated in the boss battle, I don't know why I just lost my brain for a second.
Or you use Nick Fury.
Right.
Or if you use Nick Fury, then you can have participated, or then you can get Happy's reward. So there we go. Now, why is this not working? Now I'm gonna stop.
Coming at us for picking all the useful Avengers.
Happy and Coulson in the same month is iconic. It was not planned. No, this reward is a direct inspiration from the Discord, and I think someone was like, "Oh, what if they drop a secret board?" And we're like, "We could drop a
so." Okay, but then they're going to be like, what if they drop, you get any Avenger you want for free? What if they drop, they pay us all $5?
That's never going to happen.
So the question is, do we have the $5 to pay them?
If I had it, I would, but I don't.
I do not.
Oh my God.
If I had some Monopoly money.
Perfect. I have millions of
gold on
Monopoly
Elder Scrolls Online. I can be your sugar mommy on Elder Scrolls Online.
All right. Well, I do have to wrap this up at some point in the near future. So let's talk about Once and Future Witches. This was the group before the month of April,
which I am finished.
It was okay.
It was okay.
I also did not read it.
I'm very, very close to being done. I have, I think, less than an hour left in the audiobook. Okay, so what happened is yesterday I was reading it, and then Margaret said I had a narrow taste in music. She said I enjoy a broad range of songs, so I was like, fuck you, and made a bunch of Spotify playlists, so I didn't listen to the audiobook.
Well, who was the real winner in that situation, though?
You're only missing one board to it, so it's not
That's why I realized I was like, no matter, I just don't collect the scepter, but it'll still count for all of Wanda's prompts, so I'm fine.
That's true.
I bought the book and I read a page. That's about as far as I got.
I have mixed feelings about this book because I think it was a good story and I like what she was trying to do with the characters. I just think that there were a bunch of flaws in it that I wasn't able to fully engage with the story. I got to a point in our group chat. I was like, guys, every single one of these women could die and I would not care. And that's not something that's usually a thing that I go through.
What about Agnes though, man?
I ended up really liking Agnes and Bella by the end, but Juniper,
Juniper can suck a dick.
I just wanted to suck her whole entire book. She was she's very much white feminism, and I'm sitting there watching her go like she's just trying to cause chaos, going we want power. I'm like, why do you want the power? You need to be being strategic about this. What are you trying to accomplish other than scaring all the men in town? That doesn't do anything.
Well, I mean, I think part of it is her history with her father, and she just has this vendetta against men in general because of her father. And so I think, and I talked a little bit about this. I don't remember if it was in the Discord or in the group chat, but at its heart, this book is about the sisters, and I think that is done well. But the problem is that it's marketed as this feminist agenda, blah blah blah, and I don't think that that's necessarily the book's or even publishing's fault. I think it's BookTube's fault, because that's how
it's partially,
It says it in the thing. That's it's talking. It's it's witches and suffragists.
Okay.
The suffragist angle is a poor reflection on what the suffragist movement was inspired by, and B, very not present. I think if it had been more about like
It was about the magic, like them being able to use the
reclaiming witchcraft as a medium for power. So I don't think they needed to bring in the vote concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
fair.
Like, I think that this book could have taken place at any point in time.
Yes.
It still would have been a really strong story about the sisters and that magic and the family, and then them dealing with their parental trauma.
Yeah.
But I think like putting it on that mask of the suffragette movement might have hurt the book a little bit.
Especially because to me, it sounds like she doesn't have a good understanding of what the suffragist movement was.
Yeah.
Like who was a suffragist?
Like she's sitting there looking down on the women who were chaining themselves to doors. I'm like, ma'am, that is civil disobedience. It's a highly effective tactic.
Right.
Also, let's not talk about suffragists like they were good people. Let's not do that. They were bad white women who were like, black men get to vote. And that's what they were. They never ever wanted suffragism for anyone but middle and upper class white women. They did not want it for all women. They did not want the life of women to improve greatly.
But I think that goes back to what we were just talking about earlier when we were saying that like they were fighting for their freedom and they thought that they were right.
Yeah.
And like, yes, on hindsight's always 20/20, and you're looking back at it and you're like, well, actually you missed X, Y, and Z points.
Yeah.
But like in their mind and what they were looking at, they thought that they were doing the right thing. They thought that they were fighting for the right thing.
I guess so, but it's also like historically a lot of the, at least in Canada, I know less about the US than I do Canada and the UK, but Canadian suffragists were also really big advocates of the head tax on Chinese immigrants. They were really big advocates for like the mistreatment of working class people, of sterilization of people with disabilities. Like these are not good women fighting for equality. They're fighting for white power. And I think that's what's missed here is that the fight was never actually for equality. And I don't believe that they believed it was. I think that that's the story that we've been told as women. Like, look at your foremothers fighting the good fight. But like the fight was always for the increase of white power the minute that black men got the vote.
That's fair.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, that's
I totally
what
1000% agree with that.
And I think that like, so Alexi Harrow she has a talent for writing. Like her prose is beautiful.
Very good.
That book is quotable. But, and I had the same problem when I read 10,000 Doors of January. I don't think she quite understood like the time that she was writing.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
It feels like so unmoored. Like I'm like, this isn't actually in the United States. This is just Salem, and it exists outside of everywhere else.
You made me laugh, Margaret. You're like, wait, you like private messaged me. You're like, wait,
dude.
This isn't historical fiction. I was like, oh no, it's really, really not.
Yeah.
Definitely, like I think it's supposed to take place in like Maine or whatever. But it's not. It's a very alternate universe.
Yeah, she created an alternate history, is what it is. It's not historical fiction; it's alternate history.
What bothered me the most about that is the language. Like, I'm sorry, but okay. The dialogue was not it. Like, I'm sorry, but the dialogue was not the South. It is not Salem. Like Salem ain't that far from Tennessee language wise. Our language is a lot.
Depends on which Salem you're talking about.
Which Salem are you talking about?
Because like there's a Salem in Maine, there's a Salem in Massachusetts, and there's a Salem in Oregon. It could have been any one of those.
And well, this is specifically the one in Massachusetts because I think that's where the witch trials happened.
Crow County. That's where they're from. They're from Crow County, Montana. Okay, well,
I think she created her own place. I don't think that like she used New Salem because that's just like synonymous with the witch trials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's in Massachusetts because that's where it was such a big deal.
Gotcha.
And if I remember correctly, the timeline matches up for that.
Also, can we just take a freaking hot step? Okay, this really bothers me as somebody with a semblance of like knowledge of whatever happened in the past, but like no witches were ever burnt in the United States. Never. It never happened. Salem was not that interesting of an event. Go fucking read a European history textbook. Good night. I don't want to talk about Salem ever again. You want to know the city in Germany where I lived for a month? They burnt 600 witches.
Yikes.
America hung 20, and we're all like, whoa, what did they do? I'm like, wow.
Well,
You're just
Christine, we
over
have
there
to make
on
it all
the
about
timeline
us.
screaming.
And it's also an alternate
It's
history.
really
Don't
all
forget
about
that. Because
Yeah.
Charles Perrault is Charlotte Perrault. So all of the women who did the fairy tales are completely.
I'm just saying there's never been a historical event as overblown and disappointing as Salem. There's so many events in history of witch trials being insane, and Salem is not one of them.
Right.
So,
but for some reason, like that's the
everyone
token.
talks about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to talk about Bamberg, Germany, but I do.
We want to talk about the Salem witch trials and not the things where we actually like did horrible atrocities here in this country.
Right.
You
It
know,
was like women were tested. It's like, okay, well, in Germany, this like bishop guy became like mayor or whatever, and he was like, I want all these women's property and burnt them all to death. Like, anyways, but yeah, no, Salem, exciting. Also, I think that there was any witchcraft involved in the Salem witch trials completely diminishes the fact that it was white men going after like disabled, single, queer women.
Right.
It wasn't about witchcraft. Anyways,
I'm on board. I hear you.
I think I'm the lucky one when it came to this book because I didn't go into it with any expectations in regards to feminism or any of that. Like my expectations weren't about that. I saw the cover, I saw the title, and I heard it was about sisters. And so me going into this, like all I really cared about was the sisters and the magic.
Yeah.
So for me, I went into it with a different headspace. So I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it because I wasn't expecting anything super overwhelmingly great from that other aspect of
The
it.
other plots, yeah.
Yeah. See, I already went into it kind of knowing that Alex E. Harrow does not have, I mean, it's not a terrible track record, but she does have kind of not the greatest track record when it comes to actually covering racial topics. So, because her first book is about a biracial Black girl in the United States South. And while I appreciate what she was trying to do with making that character biracial, there is a definite point, and I liked the point she was making. There is also some like valid criticism in saying like, why did she set it here in the South in the post-war period? She didn't like. They're like she didn't cover any of like they just a whole list of stuff she didn't cover well because it takes place partly in our world and partly in her world. So then we go into this one and I see some of the wording she uses when talking about people of color. And I'm sitting there going, okay, but like, did you do any of your research from the last book when it comes to covering these things?
Just the way they like described people sometimes. And I think it was more obvious in the first one.
Yeah.
Notice that like there were I swear in the first book, she always referred to the color of people's skin based on food.
Yeah.
And it was like cinnamon, chocolate.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. The one that tipped like really set me off at the beginning and made me skeptical is she uses the word. So she's describing or she's talking about how people treat Native Americans and Africans in regards to magic, and she uses the word savage to describe their magic. Like to me, like even though she immediately contradicts that tells me that she has not actually done her research when it comes to how to talk about people who are not white. And then she's using the word color continually at the beginning of the book. She gets better towards the end, but I'm just sitting there going,
Michelle,
And I think part of it is to do with I think she's trying too hard to fit it into the time period.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to fit it into this time period, but in doing so, she puts herself in this box
Yeah.
of coming off, because like there is a time and a place where you can use that terminology and it works.
She
In
has
dialogue
an
is one
alternate
thing, but
history of
in
the
the
United
narrative,
States where Salem was burned down. And there were other
like
contemporary terms she could have used.
exactly. Like in the narrative, there was no reason to use the word
But
color.
also, like, here's my thing. Here's
In
what's telling to
dialogue, it's
me.
fine, but in the narrative, no.
Here's what's telling to me. If you feel like establishing that Cleo as a Black woman was necessary to obviously who she was as a person, I get that, and like talking on that. But to mention every single time we see her that she's
Yeah.
Black, it's like, yeah, we
And to
remember.
use that word.
Why do you as an author feel like it'd be like literally every time you talked about a friend being like, yes, my Black friend, or yes, my, like every single time instead of saying their name,
Right.
like it was every single time. And like it took away, it made me think of like, how do you perceive people of color in your life if like you can't,
Yeah.
like if their identity in every single instance of encountering them is a sum of like that.
There were a lot of other places where I was like, okay, she is being inclusive, she's doing good things, but like there was that, and then there was the fact that she's taking down everyone's stories, and some of it is like she's basically, I mean, she's got a good heart, but she's stealing other people's culture in some cases.
But also, like she mentions Indigenous magic in the beginning, but then like never touches on it again, and like there's a lot of time dedicated to like the struggles of white women and this,
but like passing mention.
But like not in any. There's so much time dedicated to working class white women, and then like Black women in America as well. But they're like they're like an afterthought. Like it's very much like the Black women are like, okay, let's help the white women get power because then it'll help us get power later. And I'm like, that's the lie that history tells white people, that like progression for white people is good for everybody else, which it's not. It never has been. It's never a win for everybody when white people get more rights. So like that's what the story.
Yeah, you've got to start with the people who are the least what's the word? Like society looks down and says these are the least of them. Those are the people you have to raise up if you want everyone to be equal. Because if you take care of the problems there, it clears out everything else.
To me, it came across as somebody who had a good story in mind. She had a cool plot. She had cool characters in mind. She had a great job with the sister dynamics, but she actually has no working concept of history or any working concept of like inequity. And then decided to make a book about inequity.
Which then probably links into my problem with Juniper having no plan and only wanting to cause chaos and make people afraid.
Did she read any like theory before she decided to write a character using violence for revolutionary purposes? Like, did she read any theory about that, or was she just like,
nope,
let's do it?
let's make powerful witches.
Well, and I think that's probably the struggle with like trying to choose this real world revolutionary time. If we would have just like come up with this completely fictionalized revolution for witches or whatever, then I don't think we would have nearly the same problems or discussions about it because it's fantasy. But then when you enter this subgenre of historical fantasy where you're trying to like drop in magic into areas of history that are already problematic just as a whole, then you're just kind of like stoking the fire.
And the honest to God truth is that we don't need more white female narratives of inequality in the American like post antebellum period. We don't need them.
There's tons of other stories.
So many other stories. This was an unnecessary, uneducated attempt at historical themes.
Yeah, and I think that like part of it to me, like because of the way that I went into it, like I don't think about it as historical fiction. Like that's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. So like in my mind,
disengage that idea from my brain, and it was
in my mind, it's not that, and I think that's part of my, where I'm lucky in this case, because I went into it with a different headspace and a different mindset.
Yeah.
Because like I wasn't expecting what I feel like most people are expecting going into it. Like I was just expecting a sister story. I was expecting witches. I wasn't expecting like anything good, magically wonderful about, society or things that we need to change or do. I wasn't expecting, or looking for that out of it, because that's not what I went into it for, or like, thinking about. That's not why I like was interested in it originally. So again, I think that also plays into my ability to kind of ignore, some of the like the uneducated choices, I guess you could say, because like to me this is not Salem, it's another place.
Yeah.
And it's,
and that's
it's
where
like,
I went about halfway through the book when I realized that this is, I was like, oh wait, they burned the city down? Okay, this isn't the Salem that I know. This is not the one in our world.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I mean, I think maybe the first time that I read this, I kind of went into it the same way that Bree did.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved it so much. And I am a sucker for good prose. Like the story kind of be a little bit like mediocre, but like if the book is beautiful, then like this is the same thing. Like,
that's what saved it for me.
Circus is so polarizing. I love that book because it's so beautifully written, but so many people are like, but it has no plot, and you're like, but I don't care.
Probably read a really cool high fantasy or like contemporary urban I just don't think she should touch history.
Yeah, no. I mean,
I'd be very interesting to. It'd be very interesting to see what she would do with a pure like high fantasy, or like contemporary urban.
Because I don't think she's a bad person with like super problematic take. I just think she is really uneducated in the things that she's trying to speak about, and it comes across as like more harmful than. And to me, that's like you're doing harm.
The intent was not.
I think if we were talking about the industry even like 20 years ago, I don't think that we would be so worried about it. But it's
20 years ago. I was 4, so
right. But it's 2021. Authors have a voice, and they have to be really responsible with that voice, because your opinion.
When a story. Know when the story that you're trying to tell could potentially take away from a story that needs to be told. Yeah. Like if that same premise had been written by an Indigenous or Black author with like literally the same, it'd be so much different.
Right.
And
no, I totally understand. I agree with you.
People would learn about things that they didn't know anything about because it's not taught in history, is not taught in schools, and so like half the stuff that people have learned about Indigenous history or Black history in the past, even like the past 2 years, is because they were never taught it in school. They're like, oh, I never knew this. It's like, yeah, we knew it, but you didn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that has to do with
have that extra responsibility of sensitivity readers and extra rounds of edits, because
not using controversial words.
Right. Well, the intention of this author was not to be problematic or harmful.
Right.
It's just that, like, she doesn't know. And
but just because her responsibility used it, like, 120 years ago doesn't mean that you should use it now.
Like, yes, I understand it's historically accurate, and that may be a common term, but when you are in your main character's head, it does not need to be what they use and how they think about that person.
Also, for anything that's like fantasy, historical fiction, I'm like, if your whole take is a fantastical twist of history, why the language though?
Yeah,
you could change that. You added spells,
right?
But this was too far of a stretch. Okay,
this was too far. And that's the thing. Like, why? Like, authors in general, but like specifically white authors have that responsibility to like make sure that even though like their intention was not that it was harmful, their perception is reality.
Yeah, and again, like,
ooh,
when you're
What?
It doesn't say that in the back of the book.
I'm gone. Bye.
Yeah, Michelle's
Okay,
hiding.
later.
Oh,
Absolutely fine.
let's talk about white people doing that in the first place, anyways. But
Right.
That, like, so then in that case, like, she should know already the history of the violence behind those words, and she should know better than to use them so casually in the narrative.
Are you telling me this woman has a historical education and she still thought Salem was an appropriate topic?
And uses the word savage. Yikes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying she's ringing more now like a well-meaning but dumb author and just like a well-educated idiot. Just like she's just an idiot that happened to also have an education.
I am so glad I did not make extensive annotations in this book because I already knew it was going. But
sorry, Brianna, we did this to Margaret last month with Sanctuary, so don't worry.
yeah,
Okay.
We all get a chance to get absolutely slain by.
it's so frustrating because she does write well, and the prose and the relationship between the sisters is what saves it. But like, ma'am.
Yeah, but
No.
I think if you pull that
not
part
as
of the book
painful.
out and put it anywhere else, like anywhere else, their own magical world, contemporary world, whatever. It's just like that was not the time or place for this book.
Yeah.
So, anyways, do you guys have any other general comments? I do have to wrap this up pretty quickly.
Yes.
I like the osprey.
How did those of us that have finished the book, how did we feel about that ending? I thought it was appropriately fitting, even though it did make me slightly sad.
I haven't finished it, so I don't know.
It also was very rushed.
Yeah.
I feel like there were parts that were drug out too much for we needed
The
more.
pacing was weird this entire book.
Yeah, the pacing was weird. I think it was just like the beats themselves weren't bad. They were just not placed well.
Yeah, I'm like, we're hitting this here. We're so soon with so much book left. What?
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's why a lot of people struggled with it too, is like because of the pacing being a
Right.
little
Like you
funky.
felt like you were 50% of the way into the book and you're like, wait, I still have 300 pages left.
And it sounds like we're getting to the final climax. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, hopefully May will be better. However, none of us have read May, and it's an indie published book, so fingers crossed.
I have it right here.
We will be reading Rise of the Red Hand.
I'm excited for it.
I am too.
How
Same.
much pennies does it cost on
Hoping
Amazon?
especially about climate change.
Amazon May.
It has potential. And then, like I said, we have 3 boards. We have 3 boards this month, now
And this will
4.
be June.
4 for
May
those
and
of you
June.
who finished the boss battle. Oh yes,
I'm
June
never
is this-
getting caught up, am I?
And we'll try to announce
No,
the
you
rest
won't.
of the year.
Soon.
Yeah, we're gonna try to
working
like
on it.
probably we're gonna work on it this month. Is to like work on basically the rest of the year, and then that way you guys don't try to like.
We could announce July.
We can announce July.
Hmm.
Go for it.
So for July, we will be reading. I forget the title and author, so you say it, but I can picture the cover in my head.
Hang
Song
on,
of
I have
Wraith-
it
Oh my
we're
God.
gonna be reading a Song of Wraith and Ruin, but I don't remember who the author is. I
Uh-oh.
don't have
Let's look it up right now.
Isn't it Roseanne Brown?
A Song of Wraith by, Roseanne A. Brown. Yes.
I did
Are we
it.
set on August too?
The August
We-
is gonna
or
be
is
the
that-
Midnight.
Yeah, I was about to say we already did the August
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah,
This is
so
gonna be
those are,
Matt Hay.
Spoiler.
yes. Those are,
Y'all
yeah.
get-
So
Y'all get spoilers, the inside scoop,
Yeah.
because you came to the
Yeah.
live show.
if you want
This
to
is
listen
a quiet place to watch to the end of the live show. But we will announce the rest of the year, so that way you don't accidentally put this in PBR.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yes.
So, anyways, does anybody else have anything?
No?
Subscribe
You
to
don't-
Briannish
I'm not gonna
channel.
plug anything because it's not like this isn't Veda. I'm just so used to that.
Subscribe to Briannish channel.
Yeah.
And
Just do it.
everybody's channel is down below. Yes, I did drop the hint because somebody was like, "Hey, I'm gonna read Song of Wraiths and Ruin." I'm like, I'm not telling you you shouldn't, but I'm not telling you not telling you. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you soon. I think it's next week will be the next movie, but I don't have anything, so check the Discord.
What's the next movie?
Is it
Thor 2.
okay?
Thor
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna shoot a brick.
It's Thor.
It's not
These
Steve
ones
Rogers
are
and the Winter
Thor,
Soldier.
and then Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
After
oh,
that.
I'm looking forward to that.
Wait,
Yes, that's
So
great. And that the
Thor,
live show is
Winter
on
Soldier.
March.
Steve Rogers and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
We're going.
That's the title of the film.